Everyone wants to predict the next Lamine Yamal or Pedri, and so here are football wonderkids who I think could have breakout seasons in 25-26. Some will become Ballon d'Or nominees, others will be less so, but all of them are wonderkids. And the first player is Estevao Willian, who's just moved to Chelsea from Palmeiras. As you can see, his attacking numbers are unbelievably high, in the upper percentiles for absolutely everything, and he scored 13 goals in domestic league football in Brazil at the age of 17 last season. In fact, his manager at Palmeiras has said he is different from anything he's ever seen in football. He knows how to attack, defend, take the game on, dribble. He can do it all. And I can show you specifically why I really like him, and it's to do with how he moves and receives the ball. So this is him receiving the ball on the right wing. He plays on the right wing, he's left-footed mainly. And as you can see, the defender is going to be close to him. When he receives it, you think he's going to move towards that and probably go back inside with the ball. But what Estevao can do is manipulate the way he's moving his body so that the defender doesn't know which way he's going to go with his first touch. It's a really great skill. So here, it looks like he's going to receive across his body and then run towards the byline, so the defender has to change his body position to make sure he can go with him. But it's a cunning ruse. He receives the ball on his left foot and pushes it away from him instantly. The defender is completely caught out by it and he moves into the space. The first thing he then does is look up to see where the next space is. It's on the other side of the pitch, and he quickly shifts it over. And although this is not a goal or an assist that you normally see, you see this constantly with Estevao. He receives the ball in situations, he manipulates defenders to win space, he makes things happen, and is a starting level player for Chelsea, we should hope, next season. Next, we have another nippy little player. His name is Rodrigo Moura. He plays for Porto. He broke into the first team last season, and again, you can see his numbers are outstanding for such a young player. He is more of an attacking midfielder. He plays through the middle mostly, but drifts into different channels. As you can see, he scored and assisted 14 goals last season as a very young player, which is obviously really impressive. But even more impressive is how he's done that. So if we look at just one example of one goal that he scored, this is Moura playing on the left-hand side. He does play through the middle usually, but what he does is takes on defenders, makes them fall over. You can move them and shift them around with the way that he plays. He's very tricky. So he comes towards the box. He wants to dart inside. The defender's not sure where he's going to go. He tricks him one way and then exactly the other way, so well that the defender falls over and is completely out of the game. This is a 17-year-old doing this. And then he launches a shot, top corner, which is just a ridiculous finish. But what you get with Moura, he scored these 10 goals from an XG of 4.7. So either he's had an unbelievably lucky first season, or if he can continue to do this, he could well become one of the best players in the world. The best ones are the ones who overshoot their expected goals. Moura's done it in his first season. And so the natural next place to go on our list of players is to Scotland, where all of the best young players come from, but one in particular stands out, and that is, of course, Lamine Miller of Motherwell, who is an all-round midfielder, making a name for himself, starting in the first team at a very young age. He's got an international cap now, which is obviously a good thing, but before that, he's in the top 10 for midfielders in Scotland for passes into the final third, chances created, and defensive recoveries per game. He's doing it all at a very young age. And Scotland's quite a physical, fast league, so if you stand out there, you are doing something right, believe it or not. But you can see he creates lots of chances from all over the pitch. He's an all-round midfielder. But what I really like about him is that you can tell he can play at a higher level by the things he's doing amongst players who maybe aren't quite on the same wavelength. So here is Lamine Miller looking for the space, and the space you can see is obviously here. Now, when he runs towards that, the defender spots it too, he runs into it, but Miller's already thinking a couple of steps ahead, spots his backheel opportunity to flick a ball into the striker, and immediately makes a run round to combine for the next move, which is a first-time pass into the striker. This is a really good player. That player takes it on the front foot, pushes it forward, gets a shot away. But the player who receives it is not a future Ballon d'Or winner, so it's not quite what the level you want it to be. But Miller, playing for a big team in the Premier League, something like that with players around him you could dance off and combine with, I could see that being a real future long-term Premier League career player, and you'll hear about him lots soon. The next player is one you may already have heard of because he's made a name for himself at River Plate, and that is Franco Mastantuono, who has also moved to Real Madrid, and we think he might start next season. Like all the players, outstanding stats, but what you really see is that Mastantuono is desperate to make things happen when he plays. So these are attempted take-ons per 90 versus shots per 90. Mastantuono makes things happen whenever he's on the ball. But will he get a chance to play? Because what we can see here is that he's going to be competing against Rodrigo, Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz for a place on this right wing in Xabi Alonso's system, if that's a system he even plays. Now, he can play through the middle as well, but because he's left-footed, it's more natural for him to play off of the right and be like one of these right forwards. Perhaps he pushes Rodrigo out of the team. We're not sure. But we can see what he does on the pitch and work out what he might do. And what he can do is a bit of everything. Here he is driving down the right wing. He's powerful, he can get past his man, but he cuts inside, always getting ahead of defenders, really good with the ball, protects it well. But what I like about him a lot is that he goes against the play. So he goes against what the momentum is doing in the game. So here he is coming inside. He's already spotted that there's going to be a he goes left, the ball should go right situation, threads the striker through for a lovely goal to score here. Does this quite a lot, this kind of going against the momentum and what's actually happening around him. And a good way to tell whether a player is specialist special or not is whether they step up in the big games. This is him taking a free kick against Boca, the Super Classico in Argentina, and he slams one in from like 35 yards, however long that is. And again, this player is 17 years old at the time he's doing these sorts of things. He could become a worldwide superstar if he can force himself into the first team. Staying in Spain is another player who actually broke out last season but got injured really early. Marc Bernal, the future Sergio Busquets of this Barcelona team, was outstanding in the few games that he did play last season, but if he returns from injury and is fit, I think he could become another absolute superstar from La Masia. The only problem is Barcelona are already quite good and they've got a good mix of players. Casado came in, did a very good job. De Jong tends to play at this number 6 role. So will Bernal be able to get himself back into that midfield when they have all these players here? That's his challenge, but he was so impressive, like we say at the start of last season, he could do it, and if he does, you'll hear a lot about him for a long time. Now, my next player is a centre-back who broke into the Man United first team at the very end of last season. It's Aiden Heaven. 18 years old, very impressive physically and defensively, but what I really like about him is what he does off the ball, and I can show you why. So here is Heaven about to receive a ball and build up against Aston Villa, and what I'm going to try and show you is how he just makes micro adjustments to his positioning to receive the ball to help moves develop and continue. So he receives the ball here and it looks pretty obvious, he's looking up to look for options, but when he receives it, he's in position between players so that he can just fire off a first-time pass to one of two options. That's really important. You notice he then adjusts again, slightly go further back while the play develops. He has two options on here as well, so if the ball does come to him, it can go straight there and allow the move to progress. But as it goes, the ball goes up to the wing and Heaven receives, gets a pass back from Bruno Fernandes, but then notices that because he's one of the last men, he can't then take this on, he has to just pass it forward to Bruno Fernandes, who can then start to the move again. But 1 minute later, he's got the ball again, you need to keep going back to him on this left-hand side, and as soon as he makes the pass out wide, he sprints off down the line, so he's a free option once more. But this also takes the defender out of position, which frees up a pass into Bruno Fernandes. And when the ball does eventually come back to Heaven instead, he doesn't have any options, so he plays the safe one. Basically, it's just really good awareness of the game for someone so young. He seems like he might develop into a really strong centre-back who's aware of things around him and can help these moves. I think he's going to be a bit of a star. But someone I know already is a massive superstar is Konstantinos Karetsas of Greece and Genk in Belgium. Again, outstanding numbers when you look at his FBref profile, but he's playing for Genk. Can we really take too much from this? I say yes, because in a game against Scotland, he tore them apart, and you can see what he's doing here. So he starts on the right wing, left-footed, quite a common player to get, a little Messi type. Here he is over on the right-hand side. Greece have got two wingers, they've got interior forwards running into the spaces. Now, it's not great defending from Andy Robertson, who's left him all alone here, but when he gets this ball, he finishes it really impressively. This isn't the best bit of the game, because just like Estevao, what Karetsas does is manipulate defenders into doing things they shouldn't want to, so he can then just make things happen. He's a player who makes things happen in a heartbeat. So Karetsas here is about to receive the ball on the wing. Andy Robertson, the left back's going to come out to tackle him, but he's going to make sure when he receives and turns, he can go a couple of different ways. The space is opened up because of the way that Robertson is defending him. But what he then does, Karetsas, is move his body onto one side to shift the weight of the defender, to put it through his legs and skip past the other way. Broken that line, suddenly Greece have an overload and they can run straight at goal. And he was doing these sorts of things all through that one international game. You go through his highlights, you watch any game he played this season, he's doing these sorts of things all the time. He's a difference maker. He's one of the very special players who can make things happen in an instant. And so if he leaves Genk to a higher league, a better club, you might very well hear a lot more about him very, very soon. Now, the last three players I find very interesting for very different reasons, and I'll explain to you why as we go through them. And the first is Tom Bischoff, who's just joined Bayern Munich from Hoffenheim. And the reason I find that interesting is because, as you can see, his numbers are absolutely outstanding for Hoffenheim. He's long been considered a wonder kid in German football. But now he's going to have to compete with players like Joshua Kimmich, Leon Goretzka, Alexander Pavlovic, João Palhinha, Konrad Laimer for the same starting position. Will that derail his development? Isn't that something he should maybe have done quite so young? Because the other thing with Bischoff is that at some point he was a number 10, like an attacking midfielder, who's developed into more of a 6 or an 8, just a more deeper player. But he also has become really good defensively. You can see he attempts many tackles and has a true tackle win rate that's also high. He stands out amongst a lot of players, including Pavlovic, in this section here. So there's every chance he can break into that team, and if he does, superstar. But here's a player where the numbers just don't stand out at all. It's Giovanni Leone of Parma. He's a centre-back making waves in Serie A because he's doing really well, but his numbers don't really show it. A lot of it doesn't look actually that great, but when you watch him, you see why he's been coveted by some big Serie A teams, and it's because he's a big player. Literally, he's about 6'3", 6'4", very physical, very aggressive with it. He gets tight to players immediately. Here's him dealing very well with Romelu Lukaku. It's very hard to do that, but he's done it well, and he's done it well at 18 years old. Centre-backs don't tend to get so many minutes at 18 years old. Some of them only break into the first team when they're about 20, 21. Leone, starting centre-back at 18 years old, can play anywhere in the back three. You'll see him at bigger clubs some point soon. Now, a player you may already have heard of is Ayoub Boadi, who's playing at Lille and is outstanding. One of a very sort of new generation of athletic, tall, physical, but highly technically gifted midfielders. Can play anywhere from like 6, 8, 10. Forget the numbers, he just play anywhere in the midfield. He made his debut for Lille on his 17th birthday against Real Madrid, has done it very well ever since. But what you see when he's playing is a mix of everything a midfielder should do. He defends, he attacks, he passes, he drives, he looks for space. And you see here, he's looking for where that space is, driving into it early, making things happen, and aware enough of his teammates to have a cutback to provide an assist for a goal there. But you'll see him in lots of different games, winning interceptions, making tackles, driving through, battling for headers, passing, everything a midfielder should do. Boadi is one of the top-rated youngsters in Liga, and he'll definitely be at a bigger club anytime soon. But our final player is a young English wonder kid. It's Chris Rigg of Sunderland. Helped him get promoted from the Championship last season, where he was outstandanding. Or is he? Because his numbers don't look that good. But this is him compared to attacking midfielders or forwards. And he does play often as a central, kind of a second striker next to another player up top for Sunderland, sometimes just in behind as a 10. But when you compare him to other midfielders, suddenly you see how impressive he's been for them. Lots of touches in the attacking penalty area, lots of progressive passes received, lots of stuff happening in the final third. He's not a powerful player, he doesn't batter people out of the way. Very clever, combines well, runs the channels, does everything you kind of want of a player in that position. Might miss having Joe Bellingham behind him for that defensive security, but I think in Chris Rigg, at 17 years old, to have been playing that well in the Championship over so many games, there's a future player in there, could be an all-rounder, a bit of a Steven Gerrard type maybe. Maybe that's too much. I don't know if they'll become superstars, we can't tell. But these are the ones who I think could break out next season, that you'll hear about as household names, the kind of things you see in all the transfer rumours, all that sort of stuff there. If I've missed out anyone in particular, I'd love to know who you think they are in the comments, so you can leave that there. But that's us, that's our show for here. Goodbye.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Amy Lawrence and James Horncastle. With the latest transfer news and insights on every Premier League story that matters, theathletic.com puts you inside football, and you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.